Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. XRP right now trading at 6.816 cents. And you know what, guys? An alt season is just around the corner. You know, there are more and more bullish technical analyst interpretations of the crypto market, which is getting me really excited. I mean, some people were thinking that the top was over here back in April of 2021 when we saw that peak. Bitcoin did reach technically another new all-time high back in November. And then we've seen nothing but consolidation. But here's the thing, we haven't really seen an official alt season. If I bring Bitcoin up right now, and I mean, I know some of us think that this retracement here, the Bitcoin rally, the Bitcoin retracement to the 0.702 is really what's going to bring those altcoins up. But you know what? It's been a few months now, and we've just been kind of trading here and there, sideways on the Bitcoin chart since about January, really since about early January, since this initial drop down. And so some are wondering when. When is this altcoin rally going to peak? When are we going to see the altcoins really shoot up weeks before? And so, I mean, I guess the question is, can I time my trades? Should I be buying in now? Should I be buying in 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 3 months from now? What is the answer? Well, guys, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. First off, we have not seen an altcoin rally yet, at least not as per the research that I've done. And two, I know we usually say, can we time this? Well, guys, it's very, very difficult to time when a market is going to peak, but we can estimate based on historical values, and I'm going to get into a very, very in-depth analysis about the alt season specifically, so not so much Bitcoin, guys. This is when we're going to see not only XRP, but other altcoins rally. So let's just take a look at the crypto market for now. Crypto market sitting at about $1.875 trillion. And we're still seeing Bitcoin dominance hovering around 42%. So again, we haven't really seen much difference with regards to this Bitcoin price. We've just seen it pretty much trading sideways for the last several months now. The market is up and down. We haven't seen huge swings. I mean, some coins have seen bigger gains than others, but by and large, we are seeing most of the cryptocurrencies up or down a few percent here or there. So nothing really, really big to note here. If I take a look at the 7-day here, let me just categorize this. The top coins, the top growth coins for the last 7 days. And here's a classic example of what happens. There's one coin, in this case it's ApeCoin, in the 48th spot here on CoinMarketCap, and they're up to $10.47. That coin over the last 7 days has rallied almost 1,000%. Now, of the thousands and thousands of coins out there, there are always going to be some random altcoin that does this. And so the question goes, you know, for many people, can we pinpoint what that coin is? Can we jump on it before it gets up that high? 9 times out of 10, well, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to say, you know, your chances of doing this are next to nothing. I mean, this is, you know, gambling. Essentially, it's a big guess. What coin is going to pop next? We've talked a little bit about Ethereum Classic on this channel, up 49% over the last 7 days. Bitcoin Gold, Aave. You know, I don't really care about coins that just kind of rally randomly. I personally invest in coins for the fundamentals. And so, you know, in an altcoin rally, the good thing about that is all altcoins tend to rise regardless of what coin it is. And so, you know, if you're thinking to yourself, I didn't get onto the ApeCoin train and oh my goodness, I should have just made some money even if you don't believe in the coin, don't kick yourself. This is not an easy thing to do. What we should be focused on, though, is having a plan, making sure you've already maximized your portfolio. So like, for example, if I bring up the total 2 market cap, you guys can see here, this is the altcoin market, less Bitcoin. So the altcoin market has declined. Since that peak back in November, it has declined. Right now, it's down about 38%. So even now, you can still pick up most altcoins for a fairly good price. They are off their tops. And so maximizing your altcoin position, whether that's XRP or any other cryptocurrency, XLM, Algorand, just to name a couple. I'm sure you guys have your favorites. Put them down in the comment section. Would love to hear what you guys are trading. Wanted to start this off with this from Michael at Val5Links. So he posted this article. Fidelity executive says crypto markets forming setup identical to commodities boom in the 1990s. So we have to look at trends, and even if we compare them to former trends that we've seen in the past, even if they do not have to do with cryptocurrencies, because ultimately, guys, all these candlesticks are on the chart, is just human behavior, human trading behavior. And so this is why we tend to see similar patterns, because humans psychologically have the instinct to trade, to buy or sell, depending on what's going on in the world, depending on the news, depending on where they see price go. So ultimately, it kind of doesn't matter if it's the crypto market or not. And this is what Raoul Pal is saying here. He says that crypto markets are setting up the same way commodities did decades ago. People are asking, is crypto a real investable asset class? Does this have a place in traditional diversified investment portfolios? These are questions that we went through with commodities 20 years ago. And we know now that pretty much every managed portfolio has some allocation to commodities as a diversifier. The setup that we had back then and the setup that we have right now, the parallels are just really striking. Tyre says, so he was also part of this interview, he says that in the 2000s, blue chip companies were hesitant to invest in commodities until the proper infrastructure was set up. He says that today, crypto assets are going through the same pattern of growth. Prior to early 2000s, most investment portfolios didn't have an allocation to commodities. They were really corporate hedging markets. Then we saw a series of what I would call product regulatory market access and infrastructure developments that laid the foundation and enabled institutional participation. Fast forward to today, and I think that's where we are with digital assets. The executive also highlights a 2-year period of stagnation where institutions stayed away from commodities before all of a sudden pouring in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of capital into the then nascent industry. Tyre notes that the same thing could happen to cryptocurrencies. From 2000 to 2002, there's pretty much no institutional investment into commodities. And then from 2003 to 2010, in that 8-year period, we had around $400 billion poured in. So he's saying we are seeing a similar setup. Now, the other thing I wanted to take a look at was this tweet thread here from BTC Fuel. Now, here is his theory on AltSeason, and he gives a very detailed analysis with graphs. Guys, we're going to go through this. In this thread, I am looking at crypto market structures to assess when an altcoin market peak should happen, and as a consequence, AltSeason, which happens in the weeks before the peak. So, of course, we tend to see an AltSeason weeks before the peak of an AltSeason, right? That just makes sense. Back in 2017, we did see Bitcoin top out over here. It was December 17th or 18th, 2017. That's when we saw the peak for Bitcoin. And in and around that time, let's bring up XRP right now. That's when we saw altcoins like XRP pop off. And so the 17th was in and around here for XRP. If we just take a look at that, 17th, 18th, give or take. From that point on, we saw XRP really shoot up, and this is the bulk of the alt season when Bitcoin was going into that retracement. That's when we saw many cryptocurrencies do this. In the past, this was back in late 2017, 2018. So can we pinpoint this? Well, BTC Fuel seems to think so. To assess when the next alt season peak will happen, I'll be looking at charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the dominance of altcoins of the different past alt seasons. By aligning them correctly structure-wise, I found this pivotal target zone when the peak should happen. So there's a target zone here, top zone, June to August. So this is what he's targeting here. 20% chance of it happening between September to December. Okay, and so he's going to look at some indicators to suggest why this is going to happen. Before getting started, where were altcoins in their market curve? When compared to Bitcoin, one can see that they were entering the final leg up of the hype phase. This is the altcoin bubble. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is in the liftoff phase. So we're taking a look at Bitcoin too, because Bitcoin obviously plays a very big part in this. On the top here, we have Bitcoin, and on the bottom here, we have altcoins. Down here, he also just describes the market curve. And guys, I will link this tweet in the description if you want to go over it in depth. So there's a lot to go over here. We have the hype cycle, facing reality, liftoff to ultimate market opportunity, which is what we have seen for Bitcoin. And then eventually the sustainable market. So this is over a longer period of time. In and amongst this phase, this market curve cycle, we have seen ups and downs, ups and downs. So we've seen hype. Altcoins enter here for Bitcoin. We face reality in a bear market. Then the market matures, right? Bitcoin is part of a crypto portfolio. And then finally, liftoff. Well, for altcoins, we are consolidating right over here. And so according to BTC Fuel, it looks as though an alt season is right around the corner. Bitcoin and altcoins are thus in very different stages of the market curve. In this chart, you will see altcoins structurally aligned with the hype phases of Bitcoin in 2010 to 2014 and the Nasdaq.com bubble. Bitcoin is aligned with the gold liftoff in 1999 to 2011. So again, guys, we have altcoins here looking for their move up. And we've got Bitcoin here also looking for that peak. But if you take a look at this chart here, and it's kind of blurred in the background here, gold 1999 to 2011, you can see similar chart structures here. There was that liftoff before a downturn, and then gold continued to make its way up. Also the NASDAQ over here, guys, comparing it to that as well. So within a single bull market, Bitcoin is not as far progressed as altcoins. Bitcoin is in the neutral stage. Altcoins are the next stage, the rising wedge before the top. So I showed you guys this chart just yesterday in yesterday's video. I'll link it up here if you guys didn't catch that video. But this was just one slide here where I wanted to show you guys the broken down Bitcoin cycles. We're used to seeing them as this, the first Bitcoin bull run, the second Bitcoin bull run, and now we're in the third Bitcoin bull run, a major bull run. So you can see downward pressure followed by neutral pressure and then upward pressure. We saw that also in 2017, downward, neutral, upward. And now finally this next bull run here, 2019, 2020, that downward pressure we saw over here, followed by this neutral pressure, this double, what's looking like a double bounce here, neutral consolidation. And so what is next, guys? The upward pressure for that final market swing. Let's keep going. This gets us to the first comparison. Altcoins are possibly in the final stage of the altcoin bubble. They are now in a rising wedge before the top. This structure comparison with the Nasdaq.com bubble gives us as a target July 11th, 2022. So he's really trying to pinpoint these dates here. July 11th, 2022. Of course, guys, this is not financial advice, and this is not necessarily going to play out this way. This is just what BTC Fuel sees the chart, and I can see where he's going with this. The Nasdaq chart down here, we saw this upward momentum, and we are also seeing it now with the altcoin chart. And so he's just listing it others, and others equals altcoins versus the Nasdaq. At that point, the Nasdaq rallied up before a collapse down. And so there's going to be that final push, guys. When comparing it to the Nasdaq, almost using the Nasdaq as a fractal, he is seeing roughly mid-July 2022. So that final push up before we come back to reality and the market corrects hugely. Over here during the 90s, the Nasdaq contained already long existing computer technology companies with already a big valuation. The others chart, or the altcoin chart, contains small cap altcoins, which could be moved strongly by huge money inflow because of hype. So that's the other thing we have to be paying attention to. What's going on ultimately in the world? Well, we have a lot of crypto adoption worldwide. The US is really kind of gunning to make 2022 that year for cryptocurrency regulatory clarity. We have the Ripple SEC case, which is almost at a close. That's likely going to also have an influence on where altcoins go based on the verdict we get. All eyes are on that case. So there's a lot riding on this. And we're also seeing it psychologically in the trading charts as well. He goes on to say, when instead of comparing with the infrastructure of the Nasdaq.com bubble, looking at the launch of Ethereum and the WWW World Wide Web, one gets a target of June 10th, 2022. So again, June to July target here. And then he just posts this here. We can read it from here. World Wide Web launch, April 30th, 1993, .com bubble top, the 10th of March, 2000. About 6 years and 10.5 months difference. So we have the Ethereum launch, July 30th, 2015, and the expected peak, just according to that, June 10th, 2022. Down here, Bitcoin looks like it's building a similar base to the big 2019 to 2020 base. In the summer of 2020, an alt season happened. The same time span from March 2020, the beer flu crash, to the summer of 2020 alt season peak, gives us a target of June 30th, 2022. So he's using all kinds of different factors, and you guys can see we're getting different dates here. We're getting June 10th, we're getting June 30th, we're getting, July 11th, but it's all kind of happening in that same summer 2022 timeframe. So again, historical estimates to give us just a sense of where we could expect an altcoin season pop. Back here, looking at Bitcoin base comparison. So this was Bitcoin during the March 2020 pandemic shutdown. You can see how this is looking very, very similar to what this base structure is today. Now we have the Russia-Ukraine 2022 low over here. So comparing those black swan events and measuring them out here, 157 bars, which would equal 157 days. That would bring us out to June 30th, 2022. Bitcoin is in its neutral stage right now. The neutral stage in 2012 looked very similar to 2022. I expect it to play out similarly now with a bump during summer when it moves a bit with altcoins. Bitcoin likely peaks later in 2023. Target for altcoins, though, summer of 2022. So again, comparing Bitcoin 2022 to 2012, and you guys can see those similarities there. Also giving us some projections for that next peak anywhere between June and September of 2022. And then just down here, we're at the same stage. We're consolidating here in this neutral stage, as I showed you in slide 5. At the end of 2016, the neutral stage, a big altcoin season happened. In the spring of 2017, for about 3 months, Bitcoin had a similar slowly increasing volume profile. This gives volume for alts to grow. Target, again, summer 2022. So here we have Bitcoin alt season comparison. Of course, we have this consolidation phase. Bitcoin volume also looking very similar. And so alt season happening after that consolidation. We have seen it time and time again after that neutral accumulation. Again, what we are seeing today. Strong movements of Ethereum were in the past the beginning of alt season. Structurally, the Ethereum price right now is very similar to 2016-2017. When it broke through the moving averages, it was 6 months to the top. And again, he's estimating summer 2022 as that target. Just taking a look at Ethereum and the breakout and historically what has happened to Ethereum. Looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin pair is also interesting. When it moves up, Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin. The comparison of the similar RSI patterns of 2016 to 2017 gives 2 possible targets. And those targets, again, fall within the category of summer 2022, July 3rd and August 11th, 2022, guys. Right over here, just making some more comparisons on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. This is from 2017. Fast forward to the summer of 2022, and we are seeing similar comparisons there. Okay, just looking at that RSI band again up here on the top, we have the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, that consolidation phase, comparing that to the RSI. Now we're here, consolidation phase, and we have similar patterns here in the RSI. Again, target date anywhere between July and August 2022. The Ethereum Bitcoin structure of 2019 to 2021 is also very similar to the 2021-2022 structure, especially the structure in the middle gives it away. Again, target, June 7th, 2022. FYI, in the past, Ethereum USD peak was within days of the Altcoin Market peak. So here we have another comparison, Ethereum to BTC. Seeing that same structure, looking for the breakout to the upside, and again, just comparing it down here. Very similar structure to what we saw back in here. So again, just more comparisons here, looking at it from different angles. I guess ultimately, though, what we have to keep in mind, which keeps coming up, is that summer 2022 target. The other charts over here is a chart of the top 125 altcoins with about 10 big market cap coins excluded. It gives us the best signal of the altcoin market. A comparison with the 2017 structure gives us this next target, September 12th, 2022. So this target a little bit later, but he's given us a good indication. It sounds like we are going to peak in and around this period here. The final run up here, again, altcoin charts 2017 versus 2022, the similar pattern of that uptick before that final blow off top. Down here, the RSI profile of the others chart of this bull market also shows some structure similarities with the previous bull market. This target, July 25th, 2022. So RSI, again, just looking at RSI, guys, and a similar structure of what we are seeing now. And at that time, we did see that pop off top. If we look back to that former bull run, the others chart compared with 2010 to 2014 Bitcoin. Both are in their hype phase according to the market curve I've shown above. I chose 2 different alignments, one aligned for bottoms, one for tops. Target here, anywhere between July and November of 2022. So more comparisons just demonstrating this. And, this might sound redundant. This might sound like I'm going over the same charts over and over again. But, realistically, we are taking a look at Ethereum. We are taking a look at Bitcoin. Ethereum, I guess, traditionally, did kick off the last alt season. So that's why the Ethereum chart is important. Also, the Bitcoin to Ethereum chart or Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. I guess what's really important, though, is, guys, all these targets are coming within a few months of each other, and, it's going to be very difficult to pinpoint that date exactly, but, it's the same with when you're analyzing a chart. When you're looking at indicators, the more indicators that check out, the more likely the outcome is to occur. And so, if you apply that logic to BTC Fuel's analysis here, you can also see that time frame, the summer of 2022, by and large, is going to be that time where we see the altcoins rally. He goes on to say, now let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. A similar setup, 2019 to 2020, is visible. Pattern comparisons give us a target, August 2nd, 2022. I expect a bigger drop and alt season to happen than what we saw back in 2020. So now getting into Bitcoin dominance and what we saw back then. Over here, the Bitcoin dominance chart upside down also shows a beautiful cup and handle pattern. It shows a very big alt season, and so that's just the inverse. The Bitcoin dominance chart also shows similarities to 2017. However, it is better visible in the others dominance chart, the one that resembles 2016-2017 Bitcoin dominance. It's named altcoin dominance on the bottom of the chart. And so here we go, Bitcoin weekly dominance. We know when Bitcoin dominance goes down, that's when we see altcoin season fly. So they do have an inverse relationship. When we see altcoin dominance go up, that's when we see Bitcoin price in comparison go down, obviously. Now, jumping back to 2019-2020, others dominance chart of 2019-2020 looks similar to 2021-2022. And here again, we have the target of July 21st, 2022. Here's the others dominance, looking like we are basing in this level of support, as we are also seeing down in here. So is that peak, is that next move to the upside likely for the others altcoin dominance? Well, that is what this chart is suggesting. And the mania part of alt season starts when the price leaves the rising wedge. Then it's only a couple of weeks to the top. Staying longer within the wedge could cause delays in the timing. So that's another thing to keep in mind. We don't want to stay too long in this wedge. That could delay the timing. However, over here, this is altcoins, about 6 to 12 weeks to the top after breakout. It can consolidate for a while under resistance. But ultimately, guys, this is what we're going for here. This is what we're ultimately seeing from these patterns. All these patterns represent flows of money and psychology processes. So this is all psychology plotted out on the trading chart. If I bring up Bitcoin once again, you can see trader psychology, doesn't change too much over time. This is why we constantly see patterns. And this is how, if we play the game right, we can understand what these patterns mean and we can trade along with the trend. He caps this off by saying all these patterns represent flows and money and psychology processes. As I said, the altcoin peak happens when each of these patterns gets completed. Timing can change and can be delayed. When it takes more time to go through them, a delay should be maximum 2 to 3 months, in my opinion. That is the blue zone. So he says there is still a 20% chance, as I mentioned at the top of this video, that it could happen between September and December. However, most of his indications suggest that anywhere between June and August of 2022 is when we will see the peak for the altcoin market. So a brilliant in-depth analysis by BTC Fuel here on Twitter. So I guess I gotta ask you, are you ready to be XRP millionaires by the summer of this year? I know I've been waiting way too long, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And guys, if you find yourselves watching the video and haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I do want to try to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So please subscribe if you haven't already. A thumbs up really helps with the algorithm. I always love hearing your comments, so put a comment down in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.